Hello, welcome to the Hi, I'm Ian channel. I'm not Ian, but this is.
Hey, it's me. I'm Ian. That is my name. Hello.
And here we are.
Uh,
Week,
we are-
week 4?
yeah, week 4, and sorry, no team builder this week, and the match isn't even live com. Which is a shame because this is probably the hypest match we had up to this point. Because
Onlookers.
we're going up against Kells, who's a good friend of mine.
And
In
mine, we've been part of the same squad for, 20 years.
Yeah, this goes back way back in the past. Uh, this has been a long time coming. Well, I say that like we haven't battled before. We battle all the goddamn. But uh, this is a really cool week for us because we're both undefeated teams. We both have really good drafts, and his draft is one of the. It's put together in a very
Jimmy-like
weird way.
fashion.
Yeah, like he likes to, one thing I know about Jimmy is that he likes his bulky psychics. He likes his for as much as like it seems like when he hacks as someone, he kind of tries to make it seem like he feels bad. At the same time, he builds his draft in a way that's just asking for him to hacks people. So,
That's Jimmy, alright.
he likes to have a certain core, and he has a couple Pokemon he is very comfortable with, and that allows me to at least kind of know how he's going to play a lot of his Pokemon. But at the same time, it's Jimmy. He's a very good player. He knows how to make some predictions. He knows when to make certain plays and to set himself up for the end game. It's why we're, I think, the only two undefeated teams in the league at the moment. So we're gonna try to push for that W. His team is it's probably the second most broken team in the league in my opinion. Mainly because he has Greninja, not Torrent Greninja, every Greninja, Battle Bond,
Every.
Protein,
You mean all two of them, yeah.
all. Well, technically there's three. A lot of leagues don't allow Protein or Battle Bond, so a lot of them just end up becoming Torrent. But no, he has access to Protein and Battle Bond. Luckily for me,
And Torrent.
And Torrent, if he wants to run Torrent. Can't forget about that. Luckily for me, though, one thing that is nice is that it's not his Z-move user, so I don't need to worry about certain sets that could trouble me, like a Z Grass Knot to Bloom Doom Alomomola, because that's one of my best checks to Greninja.
I paused the music before we started the video, and I forgot to resume it. I just resumed it.
Oh, nice. That's going to be a nice audio treat for our viewers, I'm sure. But, he's got Greninja, Jirachi, Megalodios, Togekiss, Terrakion, Serperior, Porygon 2, Rotom Heat, Dawnfan, Slowking, Ditto, and Cryogonal. His team, it's very fast and put together so that the speed tiers mesh very well. Although his fastest Pokemon is Greninja, which is something that can be taken advantage of, but the fact that he has like a lot of Pokemon that go past that base 100 speed tier means that it's hard to just say like you can just run a certain Scarfer and outspeed his entire team, because his team is prone to running Scarfers to the point that you know he's probably going to be running one Scarfer a week. So it's kind of, his draft is very it's not one-dimensional. His team is open to having a lot of variety. Like Megalodios can run some different sets. Jirachi's versatile. Greninja's versatile. Togekiss can run setup. Then you get into Pokemon like Terrakion. Like, you know it's going to be used for a wall breaker. Serperior, it hits Leaf Storm. It can run sets like Glare, which could be problematic. Porygon 2, it's just fatness. Rotom Heat, it can be versatile, but it's either scarfed or fat. Dawnfan, usually rocks. Rapid Spin, usually fatness. Could be bad for my electric core. Slowking, usually fatness. It could be run physically defensive. Ditto, it's usually going to be Scarfed, a setup stopper, and Cryogonal, which is spinner, and a bit of speed control fatness. So, it's an interesting draft, and one that I think we can do decently well against, but it's still annoying to build for because Megalodios, if he does bring it like a more defensive Calm Mind variant, that could be very annoying. And then, of course, Greninja, very hard to switch into. Jirachi, very prone to flinching us down. Togekiss can be hard to break. Well, could be hard to break for some of our Pokemon. For some of it, like Tapu Koko and Alolan Raichu, it's just kind of food. Superior is really annoying to deal with this draft. Like, I don't exactly have the best grass switch-ins. I mean, I have Arcanine and Serena, and those are like my two big grass blockers. So if he runs like a Scarf set, Leaf Storm spam in the late game could be very problematic. But that's just the team analysis. Going into the actual team that I decided to bring, because Jimmy is actually a mutual friend of me and Matt's, I didn't ask for his help at all this week.
I knew you were going to get hacked anyway, so I just didn't want to bother.
Yeah. Didn't want to spend a half hour building a team when it's just going to be hacked food, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Alright, so we get into the team, and first member is Tapu Koko. Tracer, obviously. Gotta bring the mascot. Mascot, Tapu Koko. It's usually coming. It's a Tapu Koko. We're actually bringing Terrain Extender this week with Volt Switch, Dazzling Gleam, Nature's Madness, and Taunt. Why I decided to bring with a speedy, semi-bulky spread. Now, why I decided to bring this spread is because with this HP investment, we are guaranteed to live any one non-Z move hit from Terrakion upon switch-in. So, if it comes down to it, if he tries to start, if I need to hard switch Tapu Koko in on Terrakion because this team doesn't exactly have the best defensive backbone when it comes to that Pokemon. Like, that Pokemon is very hard to switch into. I can go into Tapu Koko, especially if he tries to set up on something that's, like, set up prone, like my Alomomola. Then, like, because it's really the only thing on this team that he can try to set up against, other than maybe Beedrill. I can U-turn or Wish Pass into Tapu Koko, take a hit, get brought back to full HP, and then Dazzling Gleam is, I believe, a straight OHKO after, like, 6 per... it's a roll to kill it from full, but if it doesn't kill, then he is in range of my Mach Punch from Hitmonlee, or I can bring in Alolan Raichu after and knock him out with a Psychic. And Tapu Koko is really here just to be a really good Pivotmon for the team. Volt Switch hits everything except the Dawn Fan, and I can Nature's Madness that for half. Like, if he decides to bring in Saltfest Dawn Fan, if I can catch it once with a Nature's Madness and then catch it with 2 Dazzling Gleams, it goes down. So that's really nice with my special attack investment. I don't really need anything other than Volt Switch or Dazzling Gleam, because Tapu Koko is going to be more used as a pivot than a real breaker on the team, so I don't need to worry about, like, having Thunderbolt or anything to constantly stay in, because I don't want to be staying in for very long with my Tapu Koko. I want to keep him guessing about what the Sen is, and Terrain Extender is there for my other Pokemon in the back. Okay. So moving on.
Yeah.
We got for the first time ever making his debut, we got Hitmonlee, Doomfist.
Poggers.
What?
Pog Champ.
Pog Champ, indeed. We got bring in the Electric Seed Hitmonlee, and Fun fact, the person that had Halucha actually dropped it, but because I already made an FA earlier in the season, I actually don't have the room on my team to really swap out Hitmonlee for Halucha. So, we're keeping the poor man's Halucha in Hitmonlee for the rest of the season. So, I thought I'd just let you know that despite this Pokemon not exactly showing up very often, it's gonna stay where it is.
PogChamp.
PogChamp. But yeah, Adamant, Hitmonlee. In the late game, this can actually sweep. If I get a little bit of chip damage off on the likes of the Rotom Heat, the Dawn Fan, I think the Slowking, and I think I need just like 10% off on Superior, so like a Volt Switch, in order to, in fact, if Superior's in, I can click Volt Switch on Tapu Koko. If he's Scarfed, I live a Leaf Storm. Go into Hitmonlee and then proceed to sweep from there. I could have run Bulk Up in the last slot just to get like an extra defense boost and like an extra attack boost, but I needed the 4 attacks that I have. High Jump Kick for stab, very hard hitting stab. Stone Edge is exclusively for the Togekiss, because Stone Edge doesn't do much more to Rotom Heat than High Jump Kick would. And Stone Edge allows me to 2 KO Togekiss from full, while Poison Jab would not. So that does allow me to play a bit more aggressively with the Hitmonlee once it's in. And Hitmonlee is either going to be a late game sweeper or or just a breaker for my other late game sweeper, because we're bringing double terrain abusers this week. Knockoff is for Slowking, and yeah, pretty much for Slowking. And Mach Punch is there in a very situational circumstance in which I've already burned my Electric Seed, but I don't want to lose Hitmonlee, and then I can Mach Punch in the late game to get a surprise KO on something like Terrakion or low HP Superior. Or if I am under terrain, this stops a potential Water Shuriken from Greninja, if like that's his best way of taking me down once I've set up. So after that, we're going to get into our other terrain abuser, Sombra, or Alolan Raichu. Thunderbolt, Nasty Plot, Psychic, Signal Beam. Psychic, Thunderbolt hit everything on his team for at least neutral damage, aside from the Mega Latios, and that's why Signal Beam is here. Because with the Expert Belt, if I get up a Nasty Plot, I can knock him out with 2 Signal Beams, and I think I can even like potentially knock him out through a Calm Mind. Like, if I get a Nasty Plot up, I go for Signal Beam, he tries to Calm Mind up to match me because he doesn't think I can hit him. I can hit him with a Signal Beam, and then I can knock him out with a Signal Beam even when he's at +1 Spadef with the Expert Belt. And the HP investment does allow me, well, it's just 16, but it makes the roll a bit more in my favor to live an unboosted Draco Meteor, because Raichu may not be the most bulky Pokemon, but it has respectable Spadef. So it can live an unboosted Draco Meteor, I believe. Like, if he's not running special attack investment, or if he's trying to go for the stored power set, because I don't really have the best reason to bring Pangoro this week. I can't break through too much of his team, and a lot of his team is faster than it anyway. So, moving on. So we'll move on. Next up is Alomomola. Spadef for Greninja. This is my Greninja switch in. Wish, Protect, Toxic, Liquidation. Liquidation, I really do like Liquidation Alomomola. Like, it doesn't get Scald burns, but like a lot of things that I'm checking, especially the thing I'm checking this week, like, I'd rather have the extra little bit of damage output on it, plus the ability to get a defense drop, potentially on a Mega Latios switching in, so that it would be easier to break its substitute if it decides to go for sub. One thing I do need to scout out for with Alomomola is if he is Protein. If he goes for the Grass Knot, a Stab Grass Knot if he's like super offensive, put Will to a KO Alamomola, so I do need to scout for that. So that's really why Alamomola is here, just to be a bulky pivot, and I think the bold, like the bold nature allows me to I think take a +2 hit from Terrakion, like a +2 non-Z move hit. So yeah, that's Alamomola. Then we got Serena, Widowmaker. She is here for Superior. She's not bringing Stab this week because I didn't necessarily think I needed it. Like with knockoff, U-turn, and high jump kick, I hit everything at least neutrally. The only thing I'm not hitting for more damage is the Dawn Fan, and I don't think you would send in a Dawn Fan on a Serena. So that's why I'm just not running Stab on Serena. This is an easy check to Superior. So I need to be careful how I play with it. I may or may not do that in the match, but it's something that I needed to play careful with in order to make sure I don't get swept by a potentially scarred Superior. And then final member, Genji, Mega Beedrill. Fun fact, I can actually afford to run Adamant, so that's good. I would have ended up getting outsped by all of his potential Scarfers anyway if I were to run Jolly. So I figured I might as well go for Adamant for the extra power. U-turn, knockoff, poison jab, drill run hits everything on his team for at least neutral damage. Drill run doesn't allow Terrakion to set up on me. Knockoff allows me to hit things like allows me to knock off the Scarf on a Jirachi if he switches it in, and then I can drill run that to knock it back, to blow it back. Or it allows me to knock off potential utility items like a Rocky Helmet on Dawn Fan, or leftovers just to get rid of an item on Dawn Fan. And yeah, that's Mega Beedrill. Not the most hard to explain Pokemon in the world. I was thinking of running T-Spikes and Defog for extra hazard control, but in the end, I didn't think T-Spikes were going to be that necessary because they didn't hit Togekiss, Mega Latios, Rotom Heat. Well, I didn't think they were going to hit Rotom Heat, but it's or Cryogonal, so I didn't think Toxic Spikes would be the most effective thing in the matchup. They could have been nice in retrospect to get that needed chip damage on things like Superior and Dawn Fan for a Hitmonlee sweep, so in retrospect, I probably should have brought Toxic Spikes over something like Drill Run or Knockoff, but that's hindsight. That's all hindsight. So yeah, that's the team.
So for the battle.
Yeah. Let's go right over to the battle. Tell me when you're there.
I'm there.
Okie dokie. So, we see the matchup. We see that he decides he decides to lead. Oh god. He brings Terrakion, Porygon 2, Rotom Heat, Dawn Fan, Superior, and Greninja. I knew he was bringing Greninja. I knew he was bringing Superior. I thought he was bringing Dawn Fan for my 2 electric types. I thought he could have brought Rotom Heat for my electric types as well. Porygon 2 is just an overall fat Pokemon. Like if it's Fidef, it doesn't get 2 KO'd by like Choice Specs Tapu Koko, and it doesn't take much from Alolan Raichu either. So that's something that's problematic in of itself. And then Terrakion. Very scary potential setup sweeper if I let it get a Rock Polish up, because then it outspeeds every single thing on my team. But that's part of the reason why I brought Alolan Raichu, so I can even outspeed him after a Rock Polish. Yeah, so I see that I do see, and in the back of my mind, I'm thinking I need to be careful around the Superior. It's the entire reason why I brought Serena. I need to be careful about the Superior because if he's Scarf, it could still put the team on his back if I don't keep Hitmonlee. If I don't keep Hitmonlee and or Serena, that thing can basically clean up because Alolan Raichu does not do enough damage to it unless it's really weakened. Tapu Koko doesn't do enough damage to it. If it's Scarfed, Mega Beedrill could get outsped and knocked out by the Hidden Power Fires. If he gets Rocks up, that puts Beedrill immediately in range of 2 HP Fires. And yeah, so I need to be careful around that Scarf Superior, which that's what I thought when I saw it. I thought it was Scarf, but I didn't. I may or may not have played the best I could around it. So we're gonna start off the battle. He decides to lead with the Rotom Heat, as I lead with Alomomola. I decided to lead with Alomomola because I figured he was either going to lead the Donphan, the Greninja, or the Terrakion. I thought he was basically going to lead with anything but Superior. So I wanted to lead with Alomomola to kind of scout out his sets. So I go for Protect, and he goes for Volt Switch. Standard set. So I decide to go for Toxic, and he Volt Switches out. Here's the thing. So pause this. I'm faster than his Rotom Heat. Why? Like,
What?
I checked the calc, and I checked the calcs, and he, even if he's min speed, unless he's running no EVs, the speed decreasing nature, which he has no reason to run, I do not outspeed this Rotom Heat under any circumstances. So I immediately thought he's Iron Ball, which I didn't think about until I think he may have brought that for my terrain abusers, with a trick Iron Ball, so that he can slow down my Alolan Raichu or my Hitmon or my Tapu Koko. He could slow down my incredibly fast Pokemon. That's what I assumed it was. I'll get into what it was actually for after the game, but at this point I've confirmed that his Rotom Heat is Iron Ball. So he decides to go into Terrakion after that. I decide to hard switch out on Tapu Koko, because I do not want this thing going for any sort of setup, and if he does go for any sort of setup or a Z move, I want to go into my Alolan Raichu after to immediately revenge kill him. I do not want to let this thing set up. And if he does decide to go for a Z move and knock out my Tapu Koko, then that's bad, but I can afford to play a bit more recklessly. And at that point, I would scare him out with my Alolan Raichu. He'd probably go into Rotom Heat or to his Porygon 2. I would go into Hitmonlee, pop my Electric Seed, and then start breaking. I would start breaking for my Alolan Raichu, because at that point, that's what I would have to play for in order to win. And if I got some HP off of the Donphan upon switching, or on the Superior, then I could do that easily. So I can afford to play a bit more risky with my Tapu Koko, and he goes for Sub. So I decide to scout for the Z move right here, because if I can keep my Tapu Koko, I will. I go for the Volt Switch, go into my Alomomola, and he goes for the Continental Crush. Which, even if I was a bulky Tapu Koko, I died. So I'm glad I decided to Volt Switch back out in Alomomola. He slams a giant rock on my head, flattens my already a very flat fish, and I go down. So I decided to do the exact same play afterwards, go back into Tapu Koko, and he goes for SD. That's scary, but not as scary as it could be, because I have multiple ways of revenge killing this. So I decided to go for the Dazzling Gleam, safe Dazzling Gleam. He goes for Quick Attack, And I wonder why he goes for Quick Attack until I realize that is the needed chip damage, I believe, in order to put me in range of Scarf Leaf Storm if I am a standard Tapu Koko. And that's not good. Basically, I didn't want any of my Pokemon to be in range of a Scarfed hit from Superior. So this Quick Attack damage actually does end up becoming a bit crucial. So I knock out Terrakion, which is nice. I don't have to worry about that thing anymore. But he goes right into Superior. I'm going to go into my check to this, which is my Assault Vest Skorina. He goes for Leaf Storm and misses. It doesn't allow him to see my set, but in the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. So I decided to go for Knockoff. Potentially get rid of his Scarf, or get rid of the Eviolite on the incoming Porygon 2. I then decided to go for a high jump kick because it is a 2-hit KO, even on a max defense Porygon 2 without the Eviolite, even with no attack investment on my Serena. So I get it down really low, and here I make a minor misplay. I go for a U-turn, expecting him to maybe go into Donphan or the Rotom Heat to outspeed. Well, I kind of, for a minute, forgot that he was Iron Ball, but I couldn't 2-hit KO Rotom Heat upon switching anyway. So I didn't want to be put in that situation where I needed to take big damage out on a Pokemon. And so I go for a U-turn, and he just goes for a cover on Porygon 2. So here, I go for the Nature's Madness in order to try to weaken this thing, because then I could go for Nature's Madness, and then I could taunt on the next turn on his recover, Volt Switch out, go back into, and then just go straight into Hitmonlee. But I missed the Nature's Madness. And he goes for Ice Beam. And this Ice Beam damage is going to play a role later, but it's not going to be that. It's not going to be like a game changer, but it does force me to change how I do play later. So I go for Volt Switch, and I go into my Serena, which was a misplay. I should have went straight into Hitmonlee, because that would have done, the Ice Beam would have done literally no damage to me, and then I could pressure him with a high jump kick, but that's not what I did. So I go back into my Serena, and my Serena's taking a lot of damage. I am not preserving it like I should, and I go for high jump kick. He goes into his Donphan and gets Rocky Helmet damage on me, which is bad. My Serena's slowly getting worn down to the point where I can't exactly take on Superior that well anymore. And so I go into Alomomola, he goes into Rotom, and this is the most Jimmy play I have seen in a while. I go for Wish, he goes for Thunder. He doesn't have any rain, just a raw Thunder. And because it's Jimmy, who is our resident Hax Lord, of course it hits. So this puts my Alomomola really low, and I make a huge and very predictable misplay. I go into my Serena, and he overheats, which was a somewhat easy play to read. I should have protected and just Toxic Stalled this Rotom. I should have, or at least protected and then went into Serena, or went into Tapu Koko, or literally anything else, but I didn't. Although, if I went into Tapu Koko, I didn't realize at the time the Iron Ball would have actually allowed him to use my Electric Terrain. So, that Thunder, if it connected, probably would have just knocked out my Tapu Koko. So, now that he's at -2 special attack, I go into my Alomomola, and he goes into Greninja. Now, at this range of HP, I can take a Life Orb Grass Knot if he's not modest, I believe. That's my special defense investment. So I decided to just throw off a Toxic. Do I throw off a Toxic or do I go for Protect? I go for Protect. No, actually, my bad. It was a roll. So I went for Protect to make sure I was out of range of the roll. And he goes for Dark Pulse. And then he goes for Dark Pulse again. And does way too much damage. So that is a Specs Greninja. And the second I see it's not Protein, he is the Specs Battle Bomb Greninja. Which is probably best case scenario for me, actually. Because Alomomola can switch into this decently well. And even if it gets Battle Bond up, it will increase the power of Water Shurikens, but I do have Mach Punch in the back. And this thing is actually easier for me to switch into now because he can't change up moves. And he can't run something like Taunt. I think Greninja gets Taunt. And it doesn't allow him to go for like HP Electric, which would then become Stab and boosted in the electric terrain. And yeah, so I do get the Toxic off. I don't get flinched. Allows me to start wearing down this Greninja. He goes for another Dark Pulse. I do get the Wish off, thankfully. And the reason why the Ice Beam damage earlier, why I said it was important, is because I could have switched into Tapu Koko if I didn't take that Ice Beam. Because I could have taken a Specs Dark Pulse, but I am just out of range of where I can take one with the amount of HP my Tapu Koko is. So I do have to stay with my Alomomola and go for the Wish Protects. Which does make this game a bit stallier, but you know, it's what I have to do. So I go for the Wish, and I go right into my Mega Beedrill, and I need to be careful of the, and because I get the Wish, I can go straight into Why did I say Scizor? Beedrill, and even if he goes for HP Fire, I will be brought back up to full. I can take another one. If he goes for Leaf Storm, that is easy. And that's just an easy U-turn, but I decided to go for Knockoff, because I assume he's going... I don't know why I went for Knockoff. I should have just went straight for a U-turn, but I went for Knockoff, and then I go for U-turn, but that was a misplay because that allows him to get rocked. So, yeah, kick myself a bit for that. He goes into Porygon 2, I go for the Liquidation, I don't get the defense drop, so that means I can't stay into a KO with this Porygon 2, but this does allow me to hard switch into my Hitmonlee, and fire off a high jump kick, and I missed. And that doesn't actually end up playing too big of a role, but this is just, that was just annoying in the match, and it did tilt me a bit, because I thought if it comes down, because now I can't miss a high jump kick later, if it matters. So, he goes into Superior, that all but can, so he's faster than my Hitmonlee. So at this point in the game, we haven't confirmed it's Scarf yet, but he goes for Hidden Power Fire. I'm gonna switch into Beedrill. I stay in because I can't switch into Rocks anyway, and this allows me to find out whether or not it is Scarfed. So he does confirm the Scarf here, but because he locks himself into Hidden Power Fire, I can easily go into Doomfist and just fire off another high jump kick, which puts a lot of pressure onto his team. I do go for the high jump kick here, knock out the Porygon 2 upon switch it, and he goes into Superior. He goes into Superior because if he goes into Alomomola, that will kind of lose him the game. If he goes into Greninja and I go into Alomomola, I can Protect Stall him, and I could Wish Protect, and theoretically, if he would have went Greninja, he could have baited an Alomomola and then went into Superior, but it would have ended up putting him in a very similar situation. I would have sacked off Tapu Koko anyway. So I go into Tapu Koko because now I need to use my two Terrain Abuser. It is time. I need to use my 2 Terrain Abusers to take out this Superior. So I go into my Alolan Raichu to get the Signal Beam damage off that guarantees puts this thing in range of high jump kick. So I go into my Hitmonlee, get the Electric Seed, get the Unburden. Doomfist is going to go for the high jump kick. He is going to Meteor Strike down that Meteor Strike. And here is the moment of truth. He goes for Ninja. Water Shuriken may be able to tick me off, but not if I have Mach Punch, baby. We're going to knock out Greninja. It all comes down to whether or not I hit a high jump kick, I do.
Meteor strike.
Superior goes down. Game, set, match. Doomfist
Easy.
pulling out the victory with his signature meteor strikes. Doomfist in his debut, picking up 5 kills, putting the team on his back, and that is the win against Jimmy. Good game, Kells. Or Jimmy. I've been calling him Jimmy, so whatever.
GG, shimmy, easy.
Yeah. That was a really fun game to go through in the moment, because I just to use the double terrain abusers and to have them work.
When every
amazing.
Pokemon actually puts in work in a battle.
Yeah. I could have played better with the Serena to keep it at high enough HP that the Superior didn't become an issue. But as long as I kept my 2 terrain abusers in the back, and as long as this team was weak enough, Hitmonlee was always going to sweep up the game. Because his team was he didn't bring the Megalodios, he didn't bring the Togekiss, he didn't bring Slowking, he didn't bring any of the things that could have swapped into high jump kick and then taken one of my covered moves for it. So I wasn't forced to make any predictions. Every single time I came in with Hitmonlee, I got a kill. So that is the game. Good job. Good game, Jimmy. Like, that was a really fun game. Garf Superior almost pulled out the win for him. I'm glad I put Mach Punch on at the last second to ensure that Hitmonlee didn't get picked off by Water Shuriken, because if I didn't bring Mach Punch, that would have lost me the game. So that is the game versus Kells week 4. Next week, we actually have a bye week, so there won't be a battle up next week. But week 6, I'm not entirely sure who we face, but I know it's going to be a good game.
I know it's going to be easy.
So
And I can say that because I'm not the one battling.
So here we are, 4-0, UPA. We're going for that title, baby.
Word.
We're going for that title. Peace, guys.